When you're looking at family sedans, it's pretty hard to not mention the Accord in this segment. This has been the perennial benchmark for like 50 years now, and Honda, when they introduced the 10th generation Accord back in 2018, basically set the bar pretty high. So for 2021, the company is making some small changes to the Accord. This one particular behind me is the new Accord Hybrid Touring version, which has some significant refinements to its hybrid drivetrain. Honda says this is the one to get if you guys are considering the base engine 1.5T because it offers significantly more horsepower, significantly better MPG, and it's just a much nicer drive for around $1,600 more. So if you guys are actually in the market for a family sedan, not one of those SUVs, how does the latest Accord stack up against its competitors? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, before we get started on the review, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Keeps. Now, did you know that 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35? The best way to prevent the hair loss is to do something about it while you still have the hair left. This is where Keeps comes in because it's one of only 2 FDA-approved drugs out there that actually prevents the hair loss. You may have tried them before, but never at this price. Now, the best thing about Keeps is you can get the treatment delivered right to your home. You used to have to go to the doctor for those awkward doctor visits. Not anymore. Keeps will actually send you a 3-month supply directly to your home so you never have to visit that awkward doctor's office again. Now, I've been using this stuff since March of 2020, and I'm really happy with the results. The receding hairline that I was experiencing and the thinning of the crown that you guys pointed out in the comments below, well, my hair has basically come back after about 6 months, and I'm really happy with my individual results. Now, prevention is the key, and Keeps treatments can take about 4 to 6 months before you start seeing the results. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. So if you're ready to take action and prevent even more hair loss, be sure to go to keeps.com/redline, where you'll save 50% off of your first order. That's keeps.com/redline. But with all that said, let's get back to the video. So I remember when this generation Accord came out back in 2017, late 2017, this was, again, my favorite family car when it came out because it really upped the bar on what I expect a family sedan to do. The Camry had just come out around the same time, and I really liked how Honda introduced a much more powerful Accord, and they continued to offer a stick shift. Sadly, the stick shift transmission has gone away for 2021 due to poor sales, but it has allowed Honda, of course, to refine the rest of the Accord lineup and make this sedan even better as a family car. Now you can see, looking at the styling of this vehicle, you really wouldn't be able to tell this is the refreshed model looking at the front fascia. Honda made so small tweaks that you can barely tell this is the 2021 model. The biggest giveaway is the grille. You see those chrome vertical slats or horizontal slats going across the grille? That essentially makes the grille look like it's a little bit wider. This year the grille openings are a little bit larger. Honda said that they repositioned the Honda Sensing radar sensor so it's a little bit more flushly integrated. It looks cleaner versus the pre-refreshed model. You can see this is the hybrid because it has the blue Honda badge. The radar sensor is down here along with the camera up in the windshield. And then the headlights, they're practically the same. This is the Touring model, which means you get full LED headlights, LED low and high beams, LED turn signals. The base model hybrid and base LX will not have LED high beams. Instead, it'll just have a halogen high beam. And then these LED fog lights down here have been redesigned. They look a little bit nicer this year. And overall, it's just a slightly cleaner look that some of you, again, will probably notice the differences. Other of you probably will just look at this and think it looks like every other Accord. Now, again, this is based off of the same platform that's on the 10th generation Civic when it was first introduced. And honestly, it's a very great chassis. This is not sharing a platform, of course, with the current generation Acura TLX. Honda and Acura says that it's a completely different platform. Regardless, the Accord continues to remain front-wheel drive only. They do not offer this vehicle with all-wheel drive. Looking at the wheel options, you can see this Touring has a new 19-inch wheel that kind of reminds me of the old Accord Sports wheels. These are a 5-spoke design with a pretty nice looking spoke finish. You have 2 35 width tires riding on 19-inch wheels. So again, nice looking wheel and tire combo. There's a subtle hybrid badge there on the fender. And on this white exterior color with the snow in the background, this is certainly still an attractive looking sedan. The Accord at 192.9 inches long is slightly shorter, of course, than the Acura TLX, but it's right in line with all of its competitors in terms of overall length. If you guys are looking for a sunroof, Honda doesn't offer that. Instead, you just got a standard sunroof on the EXL and up trim Accords. And then over here at the rear, this is where I wish Honda had made some changes to the styling of the rear of the Accord. I kind of wish they gave it the taillights from the Honda Insight. It still kind of has have those really interesting looking claw-like rear taillights. They're an LED combination. You can see the turn signal is a LED or is a incandescent bulb. You get LED brake lights. There's a subtle hybrid touring badge there, and then the hybrid model only just has a single exhaust at the back. The V6 or the 2-liter turbo models would have the dual exhaust, which again will make it look a little bit nicer. Opening of the trunk capacity of the Accord. The Accord continues to have one of the largest trunks in the segment at 16.7 cubic feet. If you want to fold down those seats, you can to expand the cargo area. And what's really nice about the hybrid model is it doesn't take up any space back here, but you do have these hinges that crush your cargo. If you look underneath the floor here, Honda doesn't give you a temporary spare on the hybrid model. Instead, you just get kind of a fix-a-flat kit. So exterior-wise, Honda didn't make really any changes to the Accord for 2021, and that story kind of continues when you look at the interior, where they basically added a little bit more tech and they shuffled around some of the options combination packages, but for the most part, it's still the same interior that we saw about 3 years ago. And you can see my white exterior color tester is augmented by this black interior color combination, which I probably wouldn't choose this. I would choose for a lighter color combination. The seats are 4-way power on the passenger side and 8-way power on the driver's side with a 2-power lumbar support, so really 10 ways. They are heated and ventilated. The leather is genuine. It doesn't feel quite as soft as some competitors' real leather, but the seats are pretty comfortable and supportive, which is nice. The door panel, you can see, has some faux wood grain trim, aluminum accents. You have 2-person memory seats, which is nice, and then the window controls have power up and down for the driver, 1 touch, and then just up power 1 touch down for the rear doors. When I shut the door here, the door has a relatively solid sounding thunk, so again, adds to that impression of quality that a lot of people like. Now here's the key fob for the Accord. It's still the same Honda key fob. It has remote start on the actual fob that you'll get on the upper trims. When you want to fire the vehicle up, Honda puts the start stop button in the logical place right there. And you can see when you turn the Accord on, it still has the same gauge display, although the hybrid gets a slightly unique display. You have kind of a half digital, half analog look to the instrument panel, which does look pretty nice, although I wish that Honda would just make it an all digital display. That's kind of where everybody is going. This touring version also has a heads-up display, although it's pretty small, but it's nice that Honda offers that. And then you can see here the 8-inch Honda Link touchscreen infotainment system, which is now standard. Previously, if you had to go to an EX trim to get the 8-inch touchscreen, now all the Accords get it with the wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The EXL trims and up will get the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is funny because the Acura TLX doesn't offer a wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so the Honda does, so kind of go figure. Now, of course, this hasn't really changed. It's starting to look a little bit small in terms of the screen size, especially when you see the 10.25-inch screen in a lot of its competitors. Even Toyota upgraded to a 9-inch display. In terms of the materials over here, you can see this is a soft touch injection molded plastic. This wood tries to look real, but it's fake. When you touch it, it's very smooth. This is hard touch plastic down here. And then the door panels, you can see, are soft touch injection molded plastic. Padded armrest area over here, which is nice. The window controls feel pretty high quality, but the rear windows, I mentioned earlier, they're 1 touch down. They actually aren't. Only the front windows are 1 touch up and down. The steering wheel looks pretty nice. It's not a flat bottom wheel design, but you do have these paddle shifters that controls the eCVT's regenerative braking, or the direct drive transmission's regenerative braking. It gives you 4 different modes of regen braking. It's not quite as strong as what you're going to find in some electric vehicles, but it's nice that Honda gives you that option, and it kind of resets itself every time you come to a stop. It doesn't actually hold it. The steering wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping with a good amount of adjustability. Gauges are logical, easy to use, and easy to read. You have buttons over here for your heads-up display, the Honda sensing, traction control, whatnot. Dual zone climate control, of course, is included. You have heated and cooled seats, which is nice, but no heated wheel. This is where the button would probably be for the heated wheel, so I'm surprised to see that Honda doesn't offer that here in the States. Wireless phone charger is included on higher or lower trims now. I believe on EXL and up trims will get the wireless charger. Before it was only on the Touring, which is nice. 2 USB ports over there. Nice high quality buttons and knobs and whatnot. The Honda Link system here is a touchscreen. It doesn't work as quickly as some competing systems. I notice sometimes it is a little bit sluggish to respond. The screen again looks pretty small. Going to the nav display here, you can see there's their Garmin based GPS system. It again just isn't quite as fancy or as nice as even the other mainstream systems. It's a little bit slow to respond. It didn't freeze as much as the one in the Civic and CR-V, but this is definitely still a work in progress for Honda. I would like to see them upgrade this completely in the next couple of years. When I put the vehicle into reverse, just a standard backup camera with 3 views, no 360 camera. They do give you rear cross traffic alert, which is nice, but again, some competitors offer you the full 360 camera, which would be nice. I like how the Honda gives you a volume and a tuning knob, hard buttons on the side, which is good. Over here you can see this controls your direct drive transmission. It's the push button style shifter, where you also get this on the 2.0T. The 1.5 will have a traditional gear lever, which is nice for some people. Cup holders are here. I like how Honda got rid of, or doesn't do the piano black plastic trim. Instead you have this low gloss matte finish trim, which is nice. Padded armrest over here, of course, with a good amount of storage, which is nice. And then above me, just a standard sunroof. The map lighting is not LED. Some competitors are doing the LED lighting. And then over here on the glove compartment, you can see it's a pretty good size. It's damped but not lined with felt. So overall, the cabin of the Accord is still pretty comfortable and roomy. It's just not the class-leading vehicle that it used to be. And some competitors have really surpassed the Accord in terms of just a wow factor that you just don't get in this car anymore. Now looking at the back seat of the Accord, it also hasn't changed this year. The Accord continues to be one of the more roomier options. Honda says you get around 40 inches of legroom back here, which is around 3 inches more than what you're gonna find in the Camry and the Mazda 6 and the Hyundai Sonata and Kia K5. Now getting back here, you can see at 5'7", I also slammed my head against that because I wasn't looking. The sloping roofline does, I believe, eat into the cargo or the headroom in this vehicle. Some competitors offer a little bit more headroom. However, the legroom space back here is pretty nice. You can see I have plenty of room to stretch out back here, which is good. When I shut the door sounds pretty solid, just like the front. This is hard touch plastic here, so they did downgrade the materials. I like the fact that there are 3-level heated rear seats back here. You get that on the touring version. And then Honda started throwing in the rear seat air vents and the power outlets back here on the 2021 models for the lower trims, which is nice. You have 2 map pockets here. Surprised the floor is not completely flat. And then you do have this armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. So overall, the Accord's back seat is still one of the largest in the segment. And it has heated rear seats, so it is a pretty nice place to spend time. So looking underneath the hood of the 2021 Accord Hybrid, you can see this is the powertrain that Honda essentially wants you to get if you're looking for a commuter car. This is better versus the 1.5T because it offers more horsepower and better MPG, obviously, and better performance. It's been refined this year. Of course, Honda continues to offer the 1.5T 4-cylinder, the hybrid version, which is in the middle, and then the 2-liter turbo, which is at the top end, that replaces the old V6 Accord. Now, underneath the hood of the Accord Hybrid, you basically get a combination of a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle. This, of course, is part of their Earth Dreams engine technology. The engine on itself makes like 129 horsepower, which is not much. Now, when you add the 2-motor electric hybrid system, that adds like another 181 horsepower for a combined of 212 horsepower. Remember, the base 1.5 turbo has 192 horsepower. The 2-liter turbo offers 252 horsepower, so another 40 more horsepower versus this. Now, it all goes out through just the front wheels. Honda doesn't offer all-wheel drive on the Accord, but it all goes out through a 2-mode direct drive transmission, which is not a CVT. It kind of has the ability to be a direct connection, whether you guys are running on electric or the gas engine, to the front wheel. So there's no variable ratios or gear ratios in the Accord Hybrid. It's a very interesting design for sure. Fuel economy is pretty impressive. If you guys go for the lower trims of the hybrid version, you'll get 48 in the city, 47 on the highway for 48 combined. Those are pretty much at the top of the class. The touring version that I'm showing you here with the wheels does drop the MPG to 44 in the city and 41 on the highway. Regular gas, of course, is just the required fuel. The Accord Hybrid is a little bit heavier versus the 1.5, but it's a little bit lighter than the 2-liter at around 3,500 pounds. So this is, again, a pretty good system. I think a lot of buyers are going to find plenty to like with the hybrid version, especially if you're looking for just a regular commuter car. So I've generally always had a soft spot for the Honda Accord. When I first drove this all-new 10th generation back in 2017, I was blown away. Honda really set the bar really high for themselves back then. And you know, back then we had way more interest in the midsize family sedan segment. The segment as a whole has really fallen on its face in terms of sales over the last few years. numbers, the Accord managed to sell just under 200,000 units, which really pales in comparison to what Honda has done in the past. So clearly, Honda started off strong with the Accord, so they didn't really need to make too many changes for 2021. This hybrid model that I'm driving represents the most significant changes because Honda has addressed the way the powertrain delivers its power and its total smoothness. And just setting off in the new Accord Hybrid, I'm noticing right off the bat, they've definitely addressed something with making the operation between electric motor and gas engine much more seamless. The car actually accelerates kind of with the same kind of immediacy and urgency that I get from a full EV. Like, you can coast this vehicle to accelerate in just electric power alone, and it will do it. It just doesn't have this, the battery size and capacity to actually accelerate very much in all-electric mode. There's no all-electric range. It kind of gets me thinking, why doesn't Honda do a plug-in hybrid version of this powertrain? But we'll put it into sport mode here. I'm going to turn off the stability control. Let's see if I can get it to spin its tires. Remember, it's only front-wheel drive. And it accelerates just fine. It feels a little bit quicker than the last 1.5T that I drove, but the 2-liter 4-cylinder is just a rather unpleasant and buzzy engine. Anytime you put your foot to the floor, it's very responsive, but you just hear this drone that is very un-Honda-like. It's noisier than the Toyota hybrid system for sure. Even though it produces 212 horsepower, that is more than what you get in a Camry hybrid. This doesn't feel like the typical refined Honda. I think the 1.5 CVT sounds better. The 2-liter turbo with its 10-speed auto just sounds the best. Obviously, it gives you the quickest acceleration. But you can't deny the fact with the fuel economy of this powertrain. I averaged 40 mpg without even trying. On the highway, this thing will eke closer to 45 mpg. You're looking at 500 miles between fill-ups in this car when you're really driving it efficiently. So that's very good for those of you looking for a commuter car. As an enthusiast, the Accord's always been the more fun choice, and the handling doesn't really change this year. You have very communicative steering. The suspension stays relatively flat. The steering also talks to you pretty well. Honda has retuned the steering for the hybrid this year, and I noticed the steering is just much sharper. I can feel what the front tires are doing. And you can hear when I come to a stop, the car switches to regen mode. It recaptures kinetic energy and puts it back into the battery pack, although it's a very small battery pack. And it will spin out its front tires, and there it feels quick there. I like the responsiveness here. I just don't like the engine noise. But we'll switch out of sport mode here, which also adjusts the dampers for the adaptive dampers. The ride quality in the Accord is very, very good. Even the hybrid model with this 19-inch wheels that it has one of the cushiest rides in the segment, but it also handles really well. Very quick steering, sharp chassis. Doesn't quite handle as sharply as the new TLX, but that's kind of a given considering this is the old Honda platform that has McPherson struts instead of the double wishbone design suspension on the new Acuras. But you know what? The Accord has always been good. I just don't know if Honda has pushed the envelope far enough to make this car stand out in the way that it used to. I mean, the Kia K5 and the Hyundai Sonata are just so damn good. And then, of course, you have the Toyota Camry, which is also really good. The Mazda 6, which is also really good. I mean, there are a lot of choices, even though they're starting to slim down in terms of the number of choices. The Accord just doesn't stand out as much as it used to. You buy this car because you like Hondas and because you like the styling. The car still looks good on the outside for me. It still has a good amount of driver assistance tech. Honda Sensing is standard. Adaptive cruise control, low speed follow is standard. Lane keep assist, which works relatively well, is standard. Visibility in the Accord is also really good. I can see very well out of the front. You have blind spot monitoring, big side mirrors. The seats in this touring grade are also pretty comfortable. The leather could be softer, but I find that the bolstering is good. The seat is kind of, positioned in a way that I feel comfortable driving this vehicle. It's very familiar. That's the thing about the Accord, is you get in, if you had an Accord before, you can get in and drive this car and know exactly how it works. It just doesn't wow me anymore, and I really think that sedans need to, because everybody's buying crossovers nowadays. A sedan needs to give you something that's going to impress you in a way that a crossover cannot. And it's going to be in styling, it's going to be in a wow factor, a gotta have it factor, it's going to be in handling, of course. Even crossovers are starting to handle so much better nowadays. nowadays. The one thing that Honda, of course, likes to also tell us about are these paddles, which don't control any gear ratios, because remember, it's a direct drive transmission. When I pull the left paddle, the car goes into a regen mode, which actually does a pretty good job of slowing the vehicle down and just regen braking. Right now, I haven't touched the brake at all, and the car's almost coming to a full stop, if you can believe it. This is with level 4 regen braking. It doesn't actually hold the regen braking, so as soon as my foot goes to the floor here, it shuts off the regen braking and the car accelerates again with that droney 4-cylinder. But it feels like 0 to 60 in the 7-second range, so maybe it feels slightly quicker than the 1.5T. It's definitely because of the electric motor that offers that additional torque. The 2.0T obviously is the one you're going to want. Sadly, the Accord manual has been dropped because of a lack of sales. Still pretty good handling there when I go around that corner sharply. Very fun car to drive still. Very impressed with how this drives. It's always been an excellent driving car. I'm just not entirely sure I'm sold on the hybrid. If Honda would do a plug-in hybrid with all-wheel drive, so let's say it gave us 50 miles of range, this car had 300 horsepower, that would be an interesting addition to the Accord lineup, but it sounds like that should wear an Acura badge instead of a Honda badge. But overall, still a really nice driving car. Gets good gas mileage, it's comfortable, it's quiet in here as well. Honda's really been doing a good job at quelling the road noise. It just has a lot of engine noise when you really push it. Still a solid choice. I'm just not entirely sure it's the no-brainer choice anymore. There's so many good choices out there in this segment nowadays. So with Honda selling just under 200,000 Accords in the US last year, it kind of represents a new low point for Accord sales here in America, because remember, the Accord at one point sold nearly 400,000 units, but it kind of just shows you how everybody is buying crossovers and SUVs as opposed to sedans. The Accord's chief rival, the Camry, Toyota sold just under 300,000 units. So again, everyone is migrating toward SUVs. But if you guys want a sedan, I'm pretty happy to report after spending a week with the latest Accord Hybrid, this is still one of my favorites in terms of mid-size family sedans. I'm not particularly in love with the way this car looks, especially at the rear with those taillights, but I think the car from other angles, from the front, from the side profile to the interior, it still represents one enticing choice, especially with some of the new tech features Honda added this year. I like the fact that this is the first Honda ever with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Still not in love with the Honda Link infotainment system. It's still a little bit slow at times. The screen is also looking pretty small. Honda really needs to work on completely upgrading those and giving us a larger touchscreen, because that's what people want nowadays. And I also would like to see a panoramic sunroof. I'd like to see a heated steering wheel offered in America. But really where the Accord kind of falls short is I just don't think that it feels like the top of the class anymore. Yes, of course, it's going to have the reputation for reliability and dependability. It's still one of the most fun to drive vehicles. It still has a big back seat. But, with the new versions of the Hyundai Sonata and the Kia K5, there's also still the Mazda 6 and, of course, the Toyota Camry, which is better than ever this year or in the last recent years. The Accord just doesn't stand out as much anymore, and really there's no wrong choice if you guys are looking for a family car. It's really going to come down to what brand you particularly like and what style you particularly like, because Honda has kind of fallen behind in terms of the tech, infotainment system tech, but in terms of sportiness, reliability, dependability, and some sense of style, the Accord is still one of the top picks out there, especially if you guys are looking for the 2-liter turbo, which is still one of the quickest offerings in the segment. Speaking of which, if you guys are looking to buy a 2021 Accord now, they start at just under $25,000 for a base 1.5T LX version. The hybrid model will start around $1,600 more versus the 1.5T at around $26,500. If you guys go for an EX hybrid, I recommend that. Spending around $4,000 gets you most of the features that buyers want for around $30,000. My touring version here, of course, has the heads-up display, the heated and cooled seats, the heated rear seats, the adaptive dampers, the 19-inch wheels, the real leather interior. This one here stickers for just over $37,000, which again has gotten pretty expensive for an Accord. If you guys want to spend a little bit more money, you can actually buy the 2-liter turbo, which is like $500 more than this car, and also will give you quicker acceleration but less fuel economy. So again, Honda has priced the Accord very competitively. I just don't know if it stands out as much as it used to, considering just how good a lot of the competitors have become. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Honda Accord Hybrid Touring. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.